thanks for staying. This is going to be awkward because I need to wander. This is not a product pitch or anything like that. This is my experiences of having been in the role of a DPO for the past just less than a year, and how I got there. So it's really it's a time for me to stand up here and cry, break, give up, bare my heart, bare my soul to you. So how did I get here? Right, career planning. Career is a noun. It's your 5-year plan. It's where you're going. Yeah, my life's work. Yeah, that's one way of looking at it. I prefer this. Just a career out of control. Just end up headlining somewhere. And that's pretty much how I've gone through my sort of 30 plus years of life in IT. There's a timeline slide. I started as a graduate. I was sponsored by BT all those years ago when BT did sponsorships, or when it was British Telecom in fact. Yes, I'm not quite post office telecoms, but there were still plenty of those bands around. I got made redundant after 3 years at BT, and that was terrifying, and all of a sudden I ended up falling into computers. And somehow rattled through various different companies over a period of time until I was at Atos Origin for the last 15 years, to the end of last year, really, where I was a consultant. I was the CISO. I went back into technical consultancy. I kicked off a team of other consultants and data protection people, and somehow ended up into data protection. And then I thought, for this, 15 years of in one place, and I ended up at Sykes Cottages, where I'm the security and compliance manager and also the DPO. So why did I move out? I found that selling Atos become like so many other big SIs. They got bigger and bigger and bigger, and then they were selling product. And it did seem to be that instead of delivering services that meant something to people because they'd gone through that, what is it you need? Well, let's have the conversation and consultancy-led selling and all the wonderful things you hear from SIs all over the world. Actually, let's say I've got a box and I've got a project. And sorry to James, because that's what he makes boxes. It doesn't work when you're selling cybersecurity stuff. But sometime along the line, something about GDPR. Right. Tim, you know about GDPR, you know about data protection because you focus on that. You're the GDPR expert in the team. What box can we flog that will solve that? And at that point, well, for God's sake. I'm sure that we've all been there as end users from suppliers. That is not the call you want to hear. As suppliers, are there any suppliers of technology products in the room? Oh, that's a relief. Suppliers do a great job. They do a great job when they get it right, and more of them are now getting it right, so I'm not going to slag them off too much on them. So really, yes, I found I was this sort of swimming against the tide. I was just in the wrong place. It was just sort of uncomfortable, and it was time to move on. So I thought, well, I could go and work for another large SI, large consultancy, and carry on doing more of the same, but surely that's just more of the same. And I'm too old for that crap. I don't need to go through that pain of building myself up as a consultant and in a new environment. So I thought, I'll go alone. I'll go somewhere where I can make a big impact. I'll work for myself. So I thought, my plan was 50-50 doing some property development work, because we kind of got some houses we rent out, and I quite enjoy getting hands-on, getting dirty, putting plaster on walls and putting plumbing in and stuff like that. And some consultancy. Yeah. That'll do, get my hand in with the security. And then somebody sent me a job description on LinkedIn. A wonderful place, LinkedIn. Love it. So a guy got hold of me, said, got just a job for you. It's in Chester, which is 6 miles up, or 8 miles up from where I live, and the job description would suit you. That's the job description. Very, very detailed and defined job description. The job of security and compliance manager, that is the job description. Thank you very much for that. There's an extra line in the bottom there. Management of security and compliance and be the DPO. Well, I can do that. Yeah, I'll give it a go. I'll go for the interview. What's the worst that can happen? Worst that can happen, I've got a job. So I'm standing, so I've got the role, I've now got basically a blank sheet of paper, define your own job. And that's been okay up to a point. The point is, I've never been a DPO before. The security consultancy side of it was all right. I've not kept up with the technology because it moves so fast, but I thought, well, I can do that. You know, I've got the qualifications, I've got the experience, I'm used to that. I thought, well, DPO, I'll be around it. Fine. That's what I do. And a bit more. You know, all of a sudden I've now got to learn about data protection legislation, which I didn't have a clue. I didn't know I was going to be a lawyer. Sorry, Will. I don't mean to be rude, but I didn't want to be a lawyer. We've bought the company in New Zealand, so now not only have I got the EU and UK data protection law to worry about, I've got the New Zealand Privacy Act to worry about as well. It's dealing with rights to be forgotten and subject access requests. Anything legal comes my way for some reason because we don't have in-house lawyers. It's quite a small company. I get questions on fraud. I get questions from police. Can we have information about these people who stayed in that property? Crikey, can I do that? Well, the police are actually very good. The police can deal with it by phone and by email, and they'll send you the form, and you just answer the questions, and it's all fine. But I'm now on the list of we need you as an official witness, okay? But it's just creating a witness statement. It's not too painful. But at the time, when you're not used to it, and you see these things land for the first time, ooh, that's a bit scary. All the compliance stuff, pen testing and stuff like that, writing the security policies, they weren't very good, up to date. Brexit guidance, my God. We've managed to get through a whole day without the B word, but all of a sudden I realised there was a big red risk. Our data is in Ireland, which is in the EU. We're in Chester, in the UK. We've got a company in New Zealand, and we're sharing data across them all. Adequacy? We don't know. So at the moment, I'm still going through that process. And as long as the delays keep happening, the less I have to worry about it. But I'm concerned, obviously, that we're going to have some paperwork in place that means that we can actually process the data in Chester that is being held in Ireland, and also we can support our colleagues out in New Zealand. So that's all entertaining. So yeah, that blank sheet of paper suddenly gets a lot bigger. So I got there before Christmas. They said, oh, could you start just before Christmas? I was like, a bit of time off before I left Atos. A bit of time. All right, I'll come in before Christmas because January is peak time. People have their Christmas holidays as a family and either want to get the hell away from each other, in which case they want to book a holiday, or they think it's time we booked our summer holiday because they've actually got on with each other. So Boxing Day starts our peak time when people start booking holidays. So I said, can you start before Christmas? So I said, yeah, all right. I'll start the week before Christmas. It's fair enough. It'll be quiet. Nobody will be in. It'll be quiet. So I got to Wednesday and I received a right to be forgotten request. And then I received another one. What the heck's going on here? Then I received another one. Oh, hang on a minute, what's going on? Thursday came in, got shed loads of right to be forgotten requests. What the heck's going on? The colleague I took over from, who had been covering for me, I'll tell you what talking about covering, if somebody's been covering a job when the person wasn't in post, and you arrive in post, there you go, that's yours now. So I got all this lot all of a sudden. So I'm like, yeah, we get one a week. I got over 500 in that week. All came down to a mail from, marketing. No, they actually did what was meant to be the right thing. We updated our privacy policy, so they sent out a service email to everybody on the database, some 3 million people, saying we've updated our privacy policy. But unfortunately, having also said we updated our privacy policy, they stated, this is a service email. Not, why am I receiving this mail? We're receiving this mail because we've updated privacy policy. Also in that email was, would you like to book a cottage? Would you like to let your cottage? Would you like to book this? So it was clearly a mess. So yes, my first week was dealing with those. Lots and lots of rightly forgotten requests. What a way to start. I did get to know a lot of people in the company very, very quickly. I got to know public relations. I got to know the exec board. I got to know the marketing team. I got to know all of these sort of people. You know, the kind of things, oh yeah, give it a couple of weeks. After Christmas, you'll get to know these people. No, before Christmas, I got to know these people, and it was great. It was a brilliant way of getting to know a company and getting in, getting really busy. I then worked across all, through the Christmas period, getting rid of all these things and just running through and going through the processes of wiping people out of our database. I learned a lot about the culture. It's very friendly, very much an employees first company, very, very ambitious. I mean, we bought the company in New Zealand in the middle of this year, so obviously, the ambition was there. Very acquisitive. We try and buy other companies. There's growth plans which are skyrocketing to be the #1 cottage holiday company. By the way, what we did, I didn't say what we did do. We rent out holiday cottages. So owners have cottages they want to rent out. Customers want to go and find them. How do you find them? Owners come on board with us. We advertise and then we take the bookings and so on. Really very simple. We're a data-driven company. We're an agency. We're a travel agent. But we're still emerging from this small company mentality where stuff has been built around a kitchen table. So databases have been hacked together and bodged and so on. You can't do that anymore once you get sort of like once you've gone from, when you're 50 people, you can do that. When you're 650 people in the UK, you can't do that. So we are trying to get things in place. Venture capital owned, and we've just taken on new owners, venture capital funding. So there's going to be more and more growth and demands on being more and more professional. Then I got my first complaint from the ICO. God, the ICO have written to me, I'm in trouble now. Oh God, what have I done now? What have I done now? Looked into it. Seemed to be some kind of misunderstanding. Somebody's complained to the ICO. I rang the chap at the ICO. Hello, what did I wrong? Oh, we've had this complaint come in. Oh, don't worry. Yeah, no, he's just concerned about, credit card data. We don't hold credit card data. Oh, that's all right. Yeah, give him a call. So I gave him a call. It turned out this particular customer had previously had from somewhere else credit card fraud. He was a little bit upset that he didn't realise that we would take a deposit and then we would take the final balance off the card without going back to him for his credit card details because we already had a token for doing so. We don't actually own the credit card details. We don't take credit card details and hold them ourselves. We pass them straight through to the payment company, which is so much easier because they hold the credit card details and so on. We just get it's paid, and then we get the money. Far easier. In speaking with the chap, he was fine. Case closed. Brilliant. But it was that nervous thing of like, oh, crikey, we've heard from the ICO. And I realised at this point, the ICO are actually there to help. They're not just the big baddies. They're not just going to kick your backsides for getting it wrong. I'm sure they will kick our backsides if we do get it wrong. But in the meantime, they're helpful. And if you ring up about, I might have a data breach. I don't know. Is it a breach? Is it notifiable? Oh, what was it? Oh, this. I had one of those because somebody sent an email to 262 owners with a to field as opposed to a blind copy, as has been mentioned before. Right, there's a breach. It's a breach. No, we've got 261 people who've got one person's got 261 other emails from people. What could they do with it? Because the content of the email was just some noise about how to own property. What's the worst they could do? They could email each other. They could email each other about how bad Sykes is. No, right, okay, so it's not really actually a great risk. Okay, just make a note, that's noted. So understanding that kind of thing and having those kind of conversations was very helpful. So as you could probably pick up, I've picked up a few challenges along the way. Within the company, there is pretty small amount of security expertise. I am the security bod, although in 5 weeks' time, 4 weeks' time, there'll be 2 of me. I've recruited somebody, thankfully. But it's taken a while to get to that point. They're a tech-driven company, they're a data-driven company. I work for the CTO. I did when I took the job on, said security shouldn't report into the tech field. It's not right, there's that conflict of interest problem. Really? But there is that belief that it can be done with tech. Same as everyone else, no money, huge amount of work, and it's just me, as I mentioned. On the positive, because there is positive stuff, I have a very supportive management team across the exec, and I work to the exec across the piece, and they like what they're seeing so far. They do want to get it right, and having new venture cap people who, they want to get it right as well. They're on our backs about a few things, and there are some places where we've got mistakes, and there are some places where we've got holes, and there's some things that they want to see, and the lawyers have written to us and said, you need to get that and that and that done by Christmas. Okay. But there is that impetus to improve. I mentioned there was limited budget, but there is a willingness to invest where it seemed worthwhile. And when I got there, a lot of the work had already been done in getting this kind of GDPR readiness. They'd gone through, the company had already gone through the data audits and so on. They've got rid of an awful lot of rubbish from sort of spreadsheets out under desks and so on, and made sure that we did have scripts in place so that when it came to a right to be forgotten, there was a script that wiped data out of the database and made a log, and then we just had to follow a sausage machine process to go through. It's needing some work, it's needing tidying up because the database keeps evolving, but at least the seeds are there. I say about technology. Well, if technology caused the problem, technology can solve it, can't it? Techies are like kids in a sweet shop, aren't they? You give them a box, that's a black box with a nice blue LED, and oh great, show me the GUI, show me the GUI. It's too easy, I think. This is where I'm going to slag off tech vendors again. It's too easy for tech vendors to say, I've got the solution that will solve your problem, and point techies at it, and they'll go, yeah, but I have that. I remember the first IBM PCs, servers that were black with the blue LED, and everybody had to buy IBM at that point because they were black with a blue LED. Everyone else was just using boring green and red. So, what's the difference then between why is the tech not going to do it? Well, it's because privacy and information security are not the same thing. We know about that. I'm talking to DPOs here. I'm talking to data protection people. Privacy is all about the proper and lawful collection of personal data. So it's about being a decent person. As Rowena Fielding says, and I will quote her, don't be a dick. I think it's the best quote, and it's the best, simplest, short-form version of GDPR I've ever heard. Whereas information security is all about wrapping that information systems with confidentiality, integrity, and availability of the data. There is obviously an overlap, which is where the personal data is stored electronically. But that's just wrapping technical security measures around stuff that happens to be electronic. And if it's really electronic, obviously it's cyber security as opposed to filing cabinets and put a lock on those. And trying to get this message across is quite key. Not all privacy breaches are security breaches, and not all security breaches are privacy breaches. So, where do you, what point do you report what, and who picks up the can when it's gone wrong at this point? So my life has been around detailed planning. It's easy, isn't it? I sit down with a blank sheet of paper and say, right, today, Monday, I will do this. I will make my plan, I'll do it, and I won't cock it up. That, of course, we all know. There's no such thing as a smooth, easy way through. So I do try and work in this sort of way. I look at the importance and the urgency of what has to be done. There is only me, there is too much to be done, I can't do it all. You know, I'm only 23 and I've already lost all my hair. So I kind of look at this lovely Johari window. This stuff here, what's neither urgent nor important, doesn't get done. Assessing what's important and what's urgent, of course, sometimes I conflict with my boss under that one, but that's not so easy. That's not so bad. As I say, I'm on my own, so I can't do that delegate thing, so that's got to go. My life is spent up there. Sometimes it ends up with the who shouts loudest, but I try and aim for, make the list, work in that green box. If it's urgent and it's important, get it done, and then, pick up everything else. If only there were 24 days in a week. What have I learned? You will make mistakes, shit happens. Life goes on. You just have to, deal with it. I found that really, really, really hard. I'm a little bit obsessive about stuff, and I panic about mistakes, and I wake up at 4 in the morning going, oh, I've got that wrong. That can be absolutely anything, by the way. I'll panic that I didn't put the bins out in the right order, something like that. So, but I've learned you just have to get on with it. It's not the end of the world, and most often you can pick things up. I'm very good at telling other people this. The colleague who sent out emails to 262 people, so what? Let's pick up the pieces. Let's deal with it. What was the issue? Okay, we sent an email. What do we do first? What we do, we get that list of people that we sent the email to, and we put it in a blind copy, and we send an apology. Simple. We acknowledge that we've sent this by mistake. We're very sorry. It won't happen again. Promise. She was in, panicking. Oh God, I'm going to be sacked. She'd only been there a little while. No, not yes. But I find that hard to do myself. It's probably just the nature of the job and so on. I found I'm learning all the time. By God, are we learning? And by God, have we made some mistakes? Now there's some big holes, and I've come here today and gone, oh shit, I've got even more holes. My notebook is full of, you must do this, and you've got to do this. Oh my God, I need to buy one of those. I really do. I need some more tech. Sorry, no, not that. One of the things I've learned recently is these things. I thought cookies you dumped in tea. All right, I've been a techie for years. I know a little bit more about that. But this, the CJEU ruling on October the 1st about Planet 49 and all that kind of stuff, cookie consents and all this stuff. It's a whole new big dirty world out there, isn't it? And there's a whole load of stuff that we haven't done properly that we need to do, so I'm now picking up the pieces and going for it. That's just one example of stuff we've got to learn on the way. People write to me, because everyone's an expert out there, aren't they? All the customers, they're all experts. They know exactly what an Article 17 is and an Article 30 is and where's your 24. I'm reading your One Trust book like this. I've got 2 copies of the One Trust book now. I've got one in the office and one at home. Brilliant. If you haven't got a One Trust book, get a One Trust book. They don't want to take one. That's the GDPR printout, by the way, I'm referring to, not their pamphlet about buying a product. Ask for help. The other big learning exercise. Come to events like this, meet wonderful people, especially the people who stay to the end, because you're obviously the best people. Speak with experts. Like we've spoken, I'm pointing at Will, but he's got his head in the phone, so he's ignoring me. So, build your networks, build up LinkedIn, get on there, send messages, talk to people, tweet, follow, all that kind of stuff. It's a very, very lonely place when you're on your own, but you're not on your own. It's a very, very lonely place. Big con. Demands can be pretty extreme. You can get asked anything, and it can be hard work, and it can be tough, and so on. You're the expert in everything, as I mentioned. It's like, oh yeah, had this contract come in. Can you read it over and just check it's all right? Do I look like a contract lawyer? Oh, sorry. Obviously do. It's hard to to be able to turn around and say, I don't know, bring the lawyers. That's what we're paying for. But there's times to know that. You only see all the shitty, nasty customers and the complaints and stuff like that. It's like, I think working I've worked in IT, I've worked in security, and now data protection. Nobody ever rings up the IT department and says, "Hey, I turned on my computer, logged on, brilliant, worked." Nobody ever says, "I clicked on the Windows icon, the Word icon, loaded like that, fantastic." They only ever ring up and say, bloody computer's not working again, I can't go. It's the same by the time it lands on my desk, it's a complaint, a subject access request, a right to be forgotten, whatever it is. It's like, I need this information because I'm taking that customer to court. And you think that people are horrible, owners and customers, they're all horrible. And then you realise, no, we send thousands of people on holiday on a daily basis, and I get one complaint a week. That one complaint, by the time it lands on my desk, he's a right arsehole. But I have to put that into context and think, that email, that right to be forgotten thing I had 500 email right to be forgotten requests. We sent over 2.5 million emails. As a percentage, tiny. It's not personal. When they're like, you are doing this, they're not saying, me, feels like it. They're saying, you, Sykes, have done this wrong. Or somebody in your company has done something wrong. It's not personal, it's just badly worded. Yeah, everyone's an expert. They've all read the Sun version of GDPR. You haven't got my consent to do that. I don't need your consent to do that. If you want to go on holiday, I kind of need to have your address and your phone number, so I can send you details of where you're going and that we've got it. And if you want key collection details, you can pick up the key of the property. Kind of useful if I know who you are, and the owner would like to know who you are. Pros. I've done it this way now. You know what pros and cons? I've got cons and pros because I'm positive like that. I've got brilliant supportive management. They are excellent. They want to get it done right. They do want to build. They do want to grow the company. They know they can't grow the company without getting it right. I can define my own role. Is how pro I can. There is scope here. Like I say, I'm also recruiting so I can have somebody else who can pick up the cyber stuff because I can't keep up with it anymore. And some days, yeah. I'm bloody brilliant, me. Not often, but some days. So what I've taken away from this, don't take it personal. It's not you. Build that network. Come here, meet people, take notes, scan their badges, talk to each other. Do reach out. I've come to, you get to a breaking point and then you think, nah, actually, I just have to pick up the phone, or send a tweet, or send an email. So again, when marketing is done properly, it builds trust with their customers. When GDPR is done properly, it builds trust with the customers. You can tell I've been on a marketing awareness course, can't you? But they do need to get it done right, because they all go, yeah, but if I send that email, what's the worst that could happen? Have you heard about that €40 million fine? Oh, okay, I won't do it then. They will try and push the envelope. Of course they will. Businesses are trying to get more business. Yeah, we did have a case where we got a bit of a fine. Yeah, but we've got 20 grand's worth more business. They don't want the 300 quid. So, okay. I think the last thing is just don't stop learning. There's so much more that we're going to do. I started in IT when the IT manager was me, and I did the servers, the desktops, and ran the cabling, did the whole lot. And now look at IT. Well, security's gone, InfoSec's gone the same way. Data protection, privacy. We're now focusing in these small, seemingly small areas, but they're huge. This stuff is growing. Hearing about stuff on Google AdWords from James. Wow. Who knew? You only know if you come here and listen and learn. That's all. And that's me. And I'd like to thank you very much for your attendance in this.